Get your marks and let's go racing, boys and girls. Nascar, Indycar, Formula One, Formula E, and NHRA Racing Talk. This is the Championship Racing Network. Now here is your host, Steve West and Matt Nicholson, with producer John Myers.
Yeah, after a week off of the radio side of things, we're back to full strength, we think. Internet's running slow, but that's another story entirely. Matt and I are in studio, producer John on CRN Live on YouTube. Got the radio and the YouTube editions running as full force, and hopefully none of the technical problems we had last week. Coming up, got a manufacturer change to one NASCAR team. Indycar silly season is in full force. Got an injured NHRA driver preparing his comeback. A Formula E team has their new driver lineup settled. You remember the Superstar Racing experience? Might have a second life of a sort. Expansion talk and Formula One. All that and more coming up on the latest edition of CRN. Goes green, gets up to full speed. Next.
Stay right here for more on the Championship Racing Network. Championship Racing Network.
Oh, we got a lot of catching up to do since last weekend. We had all those technical problems on my end. I'll be the first person to admit it. I got the fine folks from our internet coming out. They took a look at our box on the outside, They upgraded a couple of the old pieces that were in there, and then the guy looked at me and said, yeah, we're going to have to get the bucket truck guys out there. So it's not in my house, actually. I'm surprised. It's the wiring coming in. Hopefully it'll be fixed soon.
That'll do it.
Hopefully that'll be fixed soon, and we'll be back to full speed next time we have to do a home game, which will probably be a little bit later on this season, considering we're into college football, and our flagship radio station affiliate, they are, they're a college football carrier. So, yeah. Let's not waste any more time here. Let's talk about last weekend. Busy weekend of racing. Went into actually Monday, Labor Day. So here we go. Craftsman Truck Series, Darlington. Shouldn't really come as a surprise to anyone. Corey Heim began the playoffs doing exactly what he's done all year, winning. Specifically his 8th race of the year. This is his 19th career Truck Series win. How much longer is he going to be in the Truck Series?
He's done after this year.
All gone. How soon before he goes to Cup?
2 years, maybe.
Tops.
Maybe.
Yeah. Heim pulled away on the final restart, lap 134 of the 147 laps in the race. Claims the win by over 3/4 of a second. Daniel Hemrick second. Heim, Hemrick trailed by Grant Enfinger in third, then Ty Majeski, Trevor Bain, Tanner Gray, Tyler Ankrum, Timmy Hill with a nice run. Corey Day and Jake Garcia rounds out the top 10. Heim does now officially move on to round 2 of the Craftsman Truck Series playoffs. That leaves 2 drivers on the hot seat as well. And I say hot seat, this is in relative terms because this is fairly easy to overcome for now. Caden Honeycutt's 2 under the cut line. Jake Garcia's 3 under. So is it hot seat or would you just call that warm?
I'd call it lukewarm.
Lukewarm. Okay. Just checking.
Call it lukewarm.
Later on in the evening, out west in Portland, Xfinity Series, still in their regular season, got to racing on the road course out there, the Portland International Raceway. And again, to no one's surprise, 19-year-old Connor Zilic parked his racer on the pole. To some people's surprise, the young man with the broken collarbone was able to run all the laps on a road course, including an overtime finish, and was not surprisingly dominant in doing it. He led 70 of the 78 laps run.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty dominant.
If it hadn't been for overtime, I can guarantee you the 1.5 second gap at the checkers would have been a lot bigger.
5 to 6 at least. At least.
Rookies dominating the finishing lineup. You got Zilic there. You got Sawalich in second. Nick Sanchez up there. Christian Eckes, Austin Hill, Carson Quapple. Jeb Burton, Austin Green, Blaine Perkins, Jesse Love made up the top 10. Still working on finalizing, again, the playoff contenders. Now, Connor Zilic does have 8 wins on the season. You got 3 wins for Justin Allgaier. The funny thing is that doesn't really take effect when it comes to the regular season champion. That's based on points only, not your wins. So Zilic and Allgaier are in a flat-footed battle to see who's going to come out on top for the regular season title. Mm-hmm. Austin Hill is there. He's in third. Sam Mayer's in fourth. He's in that battle as well, by the way, for that regular season title. Jesse Love is in there. Brandon Jones, Sammy Smith, Nick Sanchez, all with 1 win each. They're locked into the playoffs. Carson Quapple leads those who are in on points. Then Taylor Gray, Harrison, Jeb Burton. Jeb Burton leads Ryan Sieg by 37 points. Not impossible to overcome, but it certainly ain't going to be easy.
Nope. Not at all. Not at all.
Sunday morning out in Zandvoort, Dutch Grand Prix got rolling for Formula One, where McLaren had locked out the front row. But off the start, Max Verstappen, who was starting third, was able to get around Lando Norris and split the 2 McLarens. He got second. As the race, however, rolled on, he fell back to third. The McLaren twins seemed ready to settle it between themselves, and then Norris's engine expired. That ended his day, obviously. That's and fairly unusual. We don't really hear about that when it comes to these front-running teams. To have them lose an engine for a Red Bull, a Ferrari, a McLaren, that's really unusual.
Definitely uncommon because of, I guess you could say, the reliability that's been built in these F1 engines. Mm-hmm. It's definitely odd.
Yeah,
for sure.
It is. Top 10 wraps up. Oscar Piastri wins. Max Verstappen, he does inherit second. And the rookie, Isaac Hadjar from Racing Bulls, joins them on the podium.
Mm-hmm.
Man, Red Bull's got some decisions coming, don't they?
A little more than that.
Yeah. George Russell in fourth, Alex Albon fifth. The rest of your top 10. Ollie Behrman, who recovered from starting the race on pit road, gets up and claims sixth. Combination of things, pit strategy, probably being one of the main situations when it comes to that? Or is this just that car was that good at Zandvoort?
Most that's a combination of strategy and driving.
Okay. Way to go, the rookie. Lance Stroll, Fernando Alonso, Yuki Tsunoda, Esteban Ocon filling out the top 10. So a double points day for Haas F1 as well as Aston Martin. Results, giving Piastri a little more breathing room at the top of the standings. He now leads his teammate, Lando Norris, 309 to 275. Max Verstappen is starting to lose ground quickly. He sits at 205, so he's more than 100 points behind the leader. George Russell is 184. Charles Leclerc, 151. McLaren's leading the team standings. It's dominant. 584 to 260 over Ferrari, who had a bad day in Zandvoort. Mercedes with 248. Red Bull fourth at 214. Red Bull going to finish fourth this year?
If they don't pick it up.
Who's going to pick it up other than Max Verstappen? That's the thing. Nobody's out there picking it up.
Yeah, if they don't pick it up, yeah. That's the problem. That is the problem.
Yeah. Then you drop all the way down to Williams. This is second tier. Williams is next with 80. Aston Martin's double points day does get them up to 62, so they might make a battle of that particular position yet. Racing Bulls is up to 60. Thank you, Isaac Hajar. 51 for Sauber. Double points finish for Haas F1 gets them up to 44, and then there's Alpine. They got 20. Then the IndyCar Series wrapped up their 2025 season. They were able to crown another new winner in a year that was dominated by the championship winner. It was a race that really any number of drivers could have won. A dozen drivers led laps on the day, but the man who was leading when the checkered flag was flying was no less than Tennessee native Joseph Newgarden. He got his first win of 2025. This does continue his streak of winning at least one race in a year. That's up to 11 now. Newgarden beats out the 2025 champ, Alex Palou. He settles for second. Scott McLaughlin third. Kiffin Simpson, Connor Daly, Kyle Kirkwood, Felix Rosenquist, Santino Ferrucci, Callum Ilott, and Alexander Rossi fill out the top 10. So here's your final 2025 standings. Alex Palou on top, 711 points. Alan Pato Award finishes second, 515. Talk about stumbling to the finish once he got eliminated from title contention. 452 for Scott Dixon. Kyle Kirkwood, 433, just beating out Christian Lundgaard with 431. Felix Rosenquist finishes sixth with 372, tied with Colton Herta. Marcus Armstrong, 364. Will Power, 357. Oh, we'll get back to him in a bit. And Scott McLaughlin rounds out your top 10, 356 points. As far as the other races, Louis Foster barely claims the 2025 Rookie of the Year. His 213 points bests Robert Schwartzman's 211. Whew. One of the tighter races we've seen in a while.
Yep.
Jacob Abel in third, 123. Honda, already locked in with the engine manufacturer title before they got to Nashville, wraps up 2025, besting Chevrolet. Final points spread 1,550 for Honda, 1,328 for Chevrolet. Now, Darlington, you and I have seen this.
Time or two.
Just because you're the dominant driver at the start of the race, especially at any race that goes from sunlight into dark, doesn't mean that you're going to be dominant at the end.
Means nothing.
But in the case of James Small and the crew, that Joe Gibbs Racing number 19 crew, they worked very hard, kept Chase Briscoe out front. The hard work paid off for the win. His second in 2 years, second consecutive race, but with two different teams. Now, we kind of get Joe Gibbs Racing because they've been a powerhouse for a long time, but Stewart Haas Racing was stumbling to their finish last year, but yet he jumped up there and claimed the win. Is this a situation where what we saw Denny Hamlin just a few years ago as being the dominant guy, has Chase Briscoe found something at Darlington that just matches his style?
Well, when you lead 300 and something laps of the 367,
Yeah.
I would say so.
All right. By the way, that guarantees his spot into the round of 12. It wasn't easy. Tyler Reddick and Eric Jones were breathing down his neck in the final run. They settled in that order for second and third. And get this, Eric Jones trailed by his Legacy MC teammate, John Hunter Nemechek. So a pair of top five for Legacy MC.
They were consistent the whole race.
AJ Allmendinger, Bubba Wallace, Denny Hamlin finally shows up. Kyle Busch, Carson Hocevar, Chris Buescher inside the top 10. So again, Briscoe's going to move on. As far as points-wise, Denny Hamlin leads that. He's 43 above the cut line. as far as the guys who are on the hot seat under the cut line, Joey Logano's 3 under. 8 under is Austin Dillon. Alex Bowman. Hendrick Motorsports had an uncharacteristically horrible day.
Very.
Including a move that I would have made as a rookie. They somehow forgot to hook up the air hose to the gun when it came to a pit stop. Is that what I'm hearing?
The primary gun broke.
Okay.
And the spare gun was not hooked to the secondary hose as a course of least regret. And I can't directly quote Tim Dalen off of 30 Days of Thunder on that one, but just imagine what they look like.
We look like a monkey doing something to a football that we can't talk about.
Exactly.
40-second pit stop. Chase Briscoe and the 19 team, they were reeling off sub 9-second pit stops pretty much all day long. They had a 40-second pit stop.
Yep.
That's a killer. Also, 19 under is Josh Berry. We'll talk about him again more in just a little bit. That brings us to Monday, Indianapolis, NHRA getting in the prestigious U.S. Nationals. Top Fuel coming down to a battle between Justin Ashley and Tony Stewart. Battle of drivers who qualified 12th and 10th, respectively. This marks the first time since 1980 at the U.S. Nationals that the Top Fuel finals at the event had both people in the finals qualifying 10th or worse. That's a while. Think about that. It was a good show, too. Ashley bested Stewart off the light, but Smoke gains the lead by the 330-foot mark. However, he says he lost a cylinder or maybe even 2 past the 660-foot mark. So Ashley goes on, gets the win. 3.839 ET, 326.16 miles per hour. This is his 3rd win of 2025, his 18th win of his career, but his first ever win at the U.S. Nationals. Congratulations. Mm-hmm. Teammates Austin Prock and Fast Jack Beckman get facing off in the funny car finals. Beckman just an eyelash quicker off the light, but then all Prock. He was in the lead past the Christmas tree, goes on to the win, 3.903 ET, 332.92 miles per hour, marks his 7th win of the year and 19th of his career to date. Matt Hartford taking on Erica Enders in the Pro Stock car finals. Hartford a much quicker reaction time, but I don't know what was going on there. Enders took over. She was leading past the Christmas tree. Rest of the way, too. 6.564 ET, 209.95 miles per hour. Her first win of the year, her 49th win of her Pro Stock career, her 4th Indy Nats title.
That was her 50th win.
That was her 50th?
That was her 50th, yep.
50th career, 49th in Pro Stock.
Is what
I've heard.
Yeah, she had the 50 up, and it had me thinking it was her 50th career Pro Stock win, but it may be 50th overall.
Career NHRA sanctioned win, 49th in the Pro Stock division. There you go. Yeah, because I knew I'd read that, and I was trying to figure out the best way to put it, and I left the 50th thing out, and then Matt brings it up. Pro Stock motorcycle comes down to Braden Davis taking on Gage Herrera. Wonder what happened here. Herrera pulls an almost perfect .003 reaction time. You can't get much better than that, boys and girls.
You can't.
Powers on to the whole shot win because Davis actually went light to light quicker, but hey, perfect reaction time, going to get you just about every time. 6.834 ET at 199.32 miles per hour. This is his 5th win of the year. La-di-da, 5 wins in a season. How pedestrian of him. 26 in his career, and he's only been running, full-time, 3 years?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Congratulations to Tony Stewart. He claims the regular season Top Fuel title. The 10 who are in the chase for the championship include Smoke, Sean Langdon, Doug Kalita, Justin Ashley, Brittany Force, Antron Brown, Clay Milliken, Josh Hart, Steve Torrance, and Sean Reed. We'll get back to him here in a minute. Austin Prock is your regular season funny car champion. We're not really all that surprised by that. He's joined in the countdown by his teammate Fast Jack Beckman, then Matt Hagan. Also in there, Ron Capps, Paul Lee, J.R. Todd, Daniel Wilkerson, Spencer Hyde, Alexis DeJoria, Bob Tasca III, Cruz Pedregon, Chad Green, Dave Richards, and Buddy Hall. You're saying, well, wait a minute, that seems a lot more than 10 names. Yep. Through the NHRA rules that do allow more than 10 in, 14 make it to the countdown in Funny Car. Same rule that allowed that in Funny Car allows it in Pro Stock Car 2. They are led by Dallas Green, who's the regular season title winner. Greg Anderson, Matt Hartford, Corey Reed, Aaron Stanfield, Eric Latino, Jeg Coughlin Jr., Greg Stanfield, Cody Coughlin. Then you got Derek Kramer, Erica Enders, Troy Coughlin Jr., and Kenny Delco going to be battling it out to claim the title in that division. And, well, not... Let me see. The 7 that I can tell you right now are competing for the title. This was actually not completely filled out here. Guaranteed in and then coming in on points. Pro Stock Motorcycle. Gage Herrera. Yeah, shocking, I know. He leads the way as the regular season champion. Richard Gadsden joins him along with Matt Smith, John Hall, Angie Smith, Chase Van Zandt, Gianna Evaristo. Then you got Chris Bostic, Braden Davis, and Alabama's own Stevie Johnson filling out the 10 drivers who are going to battle for the title. Steve Johnson been having some situations here, so it's going to be interesting to see if he makes all 6 of the Countdown title races. Not really sure he's going to be able to do that this year.
Yeah.
So this weekend, we got a lot of racing here. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and take our first break of the show here. When we come back, we'll give you the schedule for this weekend, which does kick off with a couple of different events today. Tomorrow, not as busy as last weekend, but busy nonetheless. We'll talk about those. And then we'll get into the news of the week. And there's a goodly amount of it because there was a lot of stuff we didn't get to last week because of those technical problems I was alluding to earlier. See how much we can get in this week.
We will be right back with more on the Championship Racing Network. Two tires only, and back out to the track for more action on the Championship Racing Network.
Hey, welcome back into the show. Steve West, Matt Nicholson here on both radio and CRN Live on YouTube. And, of course, producer John on CRN Live on YouTube, handling things as capably as he can. We had some technical problems at the beginning, and he seems to have overcome it, so congratulations to him. All right, this weekend's schedule starts with the IHRA Outlaw Nitro Nationals taken to Durana Raceway in Hebron, Ohio. Practice and qualifying began on Wednesday. Mother Nature permitting, they'll finalize it all later today. You're looking at some of the speeds. We'll talk about that when we get into the news a little bit later on in the show.
Yeah, this is a head scratcher.
Yeah, some of the reaction times are like... Xfinity Series later on tonight, kicking things off with the New Way 200 sauced by Blues Hog. I don't make these things up. It's at Worldwide Tech Raceway at Gateway. It's going to air on the CW and MRN radio, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Central Time. Sunday morning, Formula One rolling again. Going to run the Pirelli Grand Prix of Italy on the famed Monza course. 11 turns, 3.2 miles long. ESPN gets into coverage 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central Time tomorrow. I'm presuming qualifying will be going on during the show.
Qualifying starts at the top of the hour.
There you go. And final race of the weekend amongst the series we cover, Cup Series. Enjoy Illinois 300 at Worldwide Tech Raceway at Gateway. USA and MRN radio, middle of the day, or middle of the afternoon, really, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central Time. All right. Let's start off with the Cup Series here. I guess you could argue that the biggest news came out of the Cup Series. Truth be told, we have a combination of stuff that we weren't able to get to last week because of the technical problems that were on my end. If you missed the very beginning of the show, we were having trouble with our internet. I had our internet service provider come out. They checked the box coming into the house. They upgraded a couple of the things that were there because it was about 5 years old, so there was a little bit of corrosion going on. But then the guy said, yeah, your main problem is your feed coming in from the line out by the pole. So they're going to have to come out and redo the wiring. Yay. Can't wait for that. I can't wait for the results, truth be told, because hopefully that means we'll be much steadier. So here we go. NASCAR over this past weekend, despite previously saying they had no interest in, but were ready to distribute out the 6 charters beginning in the 2025 season that were being used by the 2311 and Front Row Motorsports teams, have said they are not going to redistribute those charters until after the court battle between the two sides over charters comes to a conclusion, whenever that might be. Again, they're supposed to go to court, what, December?
December 1.
Should the case not be settled out of court ahead of time, which they should do. Court case, again, slated to go, as he said, December 1st, Western District of North Carolina under Judge Kenneth Bell. There is an agreement in the court ahead of the Darlington race that officially put any potential distribution on hold. NASCAR agreed to it until after the trial in case the teams win and were granted by the court all of those charters. The deal struck also has NASCAR agreeing that the sale of the charters from Stewart-Haas Racing to one of them to 2311, the other to Front Row, does hold for now. Until, again, the court battle is dealt with.
2 things on this, and I'm going to save my voice because I'm like everybody else. I'm tired of hearing about it. I'm tired of talking about it. I'm tired of seeing about it.
Yeah.
Tired of waking up to my social media with 3,864 tweets from every media member that says the same thing.
All right.
This judge is pushing. He's subliminally pushing them, settle it and get it done.
Yeah.
1.
And he should. Because if I was in his position, I'd be doing that too.
Yes. 2, NASCAR's got to stop changing things because some of the things they're doing to try to, let's go air quotes, save face. They're saying they're not going to do things to try to make themselves look better when they really want to play. When in some ways they really want to play cutthroat.
Yeah, and in a lot of ways we can see through that.
You can see through it easily.
Of making themselves try to look better, and it actually makes them look worse.
Exactly.
You know, but here's the thing. You know, when you get all those tweets that came out a couple of weeks ago that Michael Jordan was sharing between him and some other people, that didn't exactly look great on their part either. So this is really ugly on a lot of levels on both sides. But this has gotten really stupid is what it is.
Yes, but some of the verbiage communicated between some of the upper office holders of NASCAR didn't look so great either.
That's true. Yeah. Trust me.
So it's hindsight 2020 on that one.
I'm not trying to throw Michael Jordan under the bus alone. He is certainly far from the only one that got really ugly and stupid with tweets.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
This whole thing has gotten really stupid and out of hand.
Extremely.
And then there's this, and I'm not sure on this. I've heard a couple of different people talk about this, and you and I can talk about it here. Came out this week, NASCAR said that during the offseason, they might look into their fastest lap bonus point rule. Here's why. At Darlington, the fastest lap of the race was earned by the number 21 of Josh Berry. Berry was credited with 38th place. Last. Because he crashed in the second turn very early in the race. Was it lap 1? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So he got his Wood Brothers number 21 to the garage. The team did what they could. They executed repairs. They got him back on the track. He was able to finish the race. He finished the race 128 laps down. But you never know what attrition is going to bring.
True.
So
Especially there.
I understand they're going out there and trying to do that. The crew did such a good job. Think about this. This crew did such a good job. Barry sets the fastest lap of the race, 29.038 seconds around the 1.366 mile egg-shaped oval. That's how good of a job they did. He bested the guy who won the race and led more than, 2/3 of the race? Or 3/4 of the race, really.
And the back of that car was junk.
Yeah. So all the credit in the world goes to the Wood Brothers team.
No doubt.
And Team Penske, because they're affiliated with Team Penske, and getting that car to be in good enough shape to actually go out there and claim the fastest lap of the race.
Mm-hmm.
Well, during a podcast this week, NASCAR's managing director of communications, Mike Forty, said that NASCAR officials talked after the race about amending the rule to make it necessary to be on the lead lap at the end of the race in order to get the extra bonus point for the fastest lap. He said it's only in the talking stages now. I've got a problem with this, and Matt, you'll take center stage here in a moment.
I'm winding up.
Because you may disagree with me. You might agree with me. I don't know. We haven't talked about it.
Right.
I'm of the opinion that if you're able to fix the car and get the car out there, what does it matter what position you finish in or whether you're on the lead lap or, in this case, 128 laps down? If you legitimately claimed the fastest lap of the race, it shouldn't matter where you finish or what lap you were on when you finished.
I'm in full agreement with that. This should not matter. But as of late, with some things that have came out and been said on this, not this one, what we're talking about, this specific platform that's being used, this needs to go. It needs to go.
You want to kill the fastest lap bonus point altogether?
But no. I'm
I'm not sure where I'm going.
The podcast needs to go.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, yeah.
The podcast needs to go.
What was that, holler talk?
They need to focus on running the darn series and taking care of business instead of, we got to take 30, 40 minutes to do our podcast of holler talk. The managing director of communications, you oversee and assist with media relations, not running the actual race.
Yeah.
Just hush. Just hush. So, because some of the things that has been said on this podcast platform specifically have made me want to try to run through a cinder block wall. Why are we even saying some of this stuff? They're playing by the rules that you set.
Yeah.
So why are we going to penalize somebody that is playing by the rules because it's now happened twice this year? Give me a break.
Yeah. 2 times, it doesn't matter. Again, if you can legitimately put your car into the position where it makes the fastest lap of the race, it shouldn't matter where you finish, whether you finish on the lead lap or not. Should make zero difference at all.
We didn't hear any chirping about it when Kyle Larson did it.
Also
but the
true.
Wood Brothers do it,
yeah,
and it's a problem.
Yeah, Josh Berry claims it. Now it's a problem. No, it's not. Sorry.
Not buying it.
Nope. Haas Factory team, we haven't really heard much from them, especially in the Cup Series this year, but they've decided to make some fairly big news this week. They've decided they're going back to where they began. Chevrolet. Starting next year, 2026 season, the one-car Cup and two-car Xfinity Series operation will once again work with Hendrick Motorsports with a technical alliance on them, and the Haas factory cars, both series, will use Hendrick engines. Joe Custer, who's the president of the Haas factory team, said this, quote, "First and foremost, we want to thank Ford for its partnership. Their support allowed us to establish Haas factory team, and we remain dedicated to delivering results for them in Cup and Xfinity all the way through the season finale in Phoenix. But as noted, this will mark a return to where Haas started. When the Haas CNC racing team, begun by Gene Haas, started way back in 2002, they started with Chevrolet. And when he and Tony Stewart combined forces to make Stewart-Haas Racing, they remained with Chevrolet. And at that time had an alliance with Hendrick Motorsports. However, after the 2016 season, Stewart-Haas Racing decided to switch to Ford because they felt they might be a little bit of a bigger fish. Well, we saw how that kind of worked out for him. Gene Haas said it was indeed a factor, said this, quote, "Personally, I have a deep history with Chevrolet and Hendrick Motorsports. Both helped in establishing not only my presence as a team owner in NASCAR, but also the presence of Haas Automation. Together, we were able to build a race team that has competed for wins and championships while growing the use of Haas CNC machinery throughout racing and manufacturing industries." In some ways, I'm not terrifically surprised by this.
Not either.
This is another move towards Gene Haas separating himself out from the time that he and Tony Stewart were paired up.
Yep.
I get it. And truth be told, he had a great relationship with Hendrick Motorsports.
He did.
You know, you think about some of the personnel that were working for Stewart-Haas Racing, a fairly decent number of them came with Hendrick Motorsports experience, to their credit.
They did.
You know, so there were a lot of connections between the two teams there. So this really comes as no surprise. I don't know whether this comes as a surprise or not. They added the fact that the drivers that are currently running for the Haas factory team are expected to be back in the same rides for 2026, which means that the 41 Cup Series entries still going to be Cole Custer, Joe's son, while the two now soon to be O'Reilly Auto Parts Series rides, the 00 and 41, will continue to be piloted by Sheldon Creed and Sam Mayer, respectively. The Xfinity side, not as big of a question mark to me. Those two guys, solid.
They're stable enough. Yeah.
It's the Cup Series operation that I like Cole Custer. I've met Cole Custer. I had the chance to interview Cole Custer. He's a great kid. I do question whether or not, though, it's the car or the driver.
Well, there's only one way to find that out.
We'll find out more next year once we get what should be arguably better equipment.
Arguably should be, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, sorry, I get that they had who was their affiliation with, RFK?
Yep.
I get that they had that, but, you know, it's kind of like the redheaded stepchild sitting over there in the corner.
That it is.
But here's the bigger situation for us. Losing the Haas factory team in the Cup Series, Ford couldn't care less. They're not even going to blink an eye at that. They've got plenty to deal with when it comes to Team Penske and RFK and all that. On the other hand, on the Xfinity, soon-to-be O'Reilly Auto Parts Series side, losing the 00 and the 41, who have championship credibility to their name, I think just a couple of years ago with the aforementioned Cole Custer, them leaves, correct me if I'm wrong, RSS Racing as the lone Ford organization in the Xfinity Series.
With two cars. Two. TWO. Tango, Whiskey, Oscar. Two.
And I like what Ryan Sieg is doing over there, and he is certainly bucking the trend and doing everything that he possibly can to keep this little mom-and-pop organization running and doing the best he can. And he more often than not threatens for wins that I'm a little bit surprised that he does threaten for the win at.
Yeah.
So I give him all the credit in the world.
Yep.
And now Ford Racing, no longer Ford Performance, they changed their name this week as well, back to Ford Racing.
Yep.
They can now push all of their Xfinity Series efforts to RSS Racing. But when you only ran 4 Ford cars in the first place, is that going to make that much of a difference for RSS?
It should. It should.
Should. Okay.
Keyword, should.
Enough to hopefully put RSS into victory lane is what you're saying, right?
Should.
Okay. I guess we'll find out. I mean, this guts Ford on the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series side of things, because I'm going to go ahead and look ahead to next year, because I don't see anybody rushing to switch from their Chevrolet or Toyota affiliation currently to go run into Ford and go, hey, we'll pick up the slack.
Yeah, this one's a head scratcher for Ford for me.
We'll see where the Blue Oval goes, and we'll talk about Bristol when we come back.
We will be right back with more on the Championship Racing Network. Fuel only. Go, go, go. We're back to the Championship Racing Network.
Already getting reaction off of CRN Live on YouTube about the switch from Haas over to Chevrolet.
Yep.
I mean, I understand it. There are people who love Hendrick Motorsports, and there are people that absolutely hate Hendrick Motorsports. And there are people that love a particular brand over another. I get it. I fully do. I had the hardest time, and you know, I've made no bones about it. I've been a Tony Stewart fan since his rookie year. To follow him over to a brand that went against everything that I believed in growing up because my grandfather worked for General Motors, to see him go to the arch enemy of Ford, that was tough. That was tough.
I'm sure it was.
But I still followed.
Yep.
But that's my allegiance more to Tony Stewart than to anything else. Now that he's gone, if you were watching at the very beginning of the show, underneath the jersey that I've got on here, for those of you that are on radio, I'm wearing a CRN football jersey. But underneath is the shirt of Chase Briscoe from the 14 when he was with Stewart Haas Racing. He's become my guy. Am I a big Toyota guy? Not really. We own Toyotas. My wife loves them. So I don't have any problem with Toyota, but it's not my go-to ride. But I'm following Chase Briscoe because he was the last guy to drive Tony Stewart's car. Mm-hmm. I'm sticking with that connection, tenuous as it might be. Let's go Bristol Motor Speedway. Officials with Bristol report they are done on schedule with the transformation of the track from its baseball form back to being a racetrack, and plenty of time for the races that are next weekend. SMI officials said Thursday the final touches were going to be completed on Friday or yesterday as we air live. So good job by them.
Yep, that's for sure.
Not an easy transformation if you think about what they had to do to go from racetrack to baseball field in time for the game, and then to turn around and do it in reverse in time for next weekend's race. That was a lot of work.
Yeah, it was.
Let's see. With the recent word that officials from the Australian Supercar Series wanted to host at least one Cup Series driver after the Cup Series season is done, there was a lot of speculation about who might be that driver once that time came around. Speculation can come to an end, and no, it's not Kyle Larson. Larson talked about doing it last year, but he backed out as the 2024 Cup Series season came to a close. He was citing exhaustion. He had run a whole lot of races, and then he was going to have to, do a 12-hour flight, basically, from the west coast of the United States to get to Australia?
Pretty much, yeah.
So he said, thanks, but I'm going to pass. I'm going to rest for a little bit. So now we pivot. Team Penske driver Austin Cindric.
Not a bad selection.
No, not really. Cindric has officially entered the race set for Adelaide, Australia, the last weekend in the month of November. He's going to be driving what they call a wild card Ford Mustang with support from Ford Performance, who again announced this week they're reverting back to the name Ford Racing. I think producer John, we got a picture of that somewhere. He's going to run for Tickford Racing. Simon Brookhouse, team CEO, said that with support of Ford Performance, we are ready to welcome Austin to Tickford, provide him an opportunity to get a taste of Australian motorsport. Collaborative effort with Tickford Ford Performance Supercars. Austin and his team is a testament to where the sport is continuing to go from strength to strength. Welcoming in the NASCAR audience to our sport will continue to reinforce the direction of the supercar's growth, provide future benefits for all involved in this opportunity. Let's go back to what we had been mentioning earlier on this year when it came to the Gen 7 car.
Right.
NASCAR officials went and looked at the Australian Supercars entries and did a lot of research on those and took a lot of what they had in the Supercars and put them into the Gen 7 car.
They did.
Which is why SVG has certainly adapted to it at the road courses, and he's slowly but surely picking it up on ovals.
They put a little bit too much into it.
Probably. So it'll be a transition, don't get me wrong, but it shouldn't be that massive of a transition for Austin Cindric. He should be able to get into the car and get used to it fairly quick.
Should. That's the word of the day. Should.
And then it's just a matter of getting used to the course that you're on and all the different rules. Because, this isn't a NASCAR affiliated, obviously, series, so he's got to get used to the rules, he's got to get used to the course and figure out what he can do in relationship to the other drivers that are in the series. Mm-hmm. Right. We'll see how good he does. Yep. Should be interesting. Hey, congratulations out to Brad Keselowski and his wife Paige. They got 4 kids now. We're about to show you the family on CRN Live on YouTube. They announced they are the proud parents of their 4th child. They announced their son, Sterling Robert. Good name. Sterling Robert, born on Tuesday of this week. He joins his older sisters, Scarlett, Autumn, and older brother, Maze.
Good for him. Good for them.
Congratulations.
Good for them.
All right. On the other hand, we got some sad news. NASCAR Cup Series driver Phil Barkdahl passed away. Barkdahl, born Philip Lyle Barkdahl in Garrison, Iowa on September the 9th of 1937, was one of a dozen children. He and his first wife had 4 children of their own, but it was his second wife that he was married to until his passing. He and Linda had 5 children of their own together, so he had 9 kids in all on his own. Before he got into racing on a professional level, Phil Barkdahl worked as a general contractor, an auctioneer, a farmer, a professional poker player, among other things. But from 1984 through 1997, he was a racer in the Cup Series, part-time, obviously. Qualified for races from the 1984 Winston 500 to the 1992 Pepsi 400. He did qualify for the 1997 Daytona 500, but he didn't race in it. He turned the car over to, Mike Wallace?
I think
it was. In all, he raced in 23 events over his time, never claimed to win, never even claimed a top 10, ran mostly for his own Barkdahl racing operation. But one year he raced for the Helen Ray Motorsports team. That team owned by his mother-in-law. His best finish was 15th in his career, accomplished it twice in back-to-back races in 1989 when he claimed the position at the summer race at Daytona, and then 2 weeks later equaled that feat of 15th at Talladega in an Oldsmobile, which wore the number 73 on the sides and the roof.
1997 Daytona 500. It was actually Joe Nemechek that drove the car.
My apologies. I got that wrong.
Because Felix Sabates bought the ride out because Joe did not qualify. So
Bill Barkdahl took the money and ran.
Exactly.
With all due respect to Steve Miller. He leaves behind his wife, Linda, his 3 brothers, 8 of his 9 children, 29 grandchildren, and 16 great-grandchildren. Passed away at his cabin in Vinton, Iowa due to natural causes. Phil Barkdahl, 87 years old. Happened to be connected to Steve Barkdahl on Facebook. Saw his announcement of it, too, and wished him all the best. Sent my thoughts and prayers out to them, as we do here at CRN, to the entire family.
Phil would always went during the the AIDB auction that would be on Friday nights at the Speed Vision Dome. That's what I call it, Speed Vision Dome, at the Hall of Fame. They would have Phil do the auctioning for it.
Yeah.
Because I went to several of those as a kid, and that was real neat to see.
Yeah, good stuff. On a lighter note, very much lighter note, actually, the 2025 NASCAR video game has released its cover. Cover features drivers. Yes, multiple. 3 different ones. William Byron, Ryan Blaney, Christopher Bell, along with their cars. Get this? Chevy, a Ford, and a Toyota. Now you understand why the 3 different drivers. Game's cover was shown over the weekend at Daytona a couple of weeks ago. The game, being done by iRacing, not going to be available in stores until October the 14th. It'll be available for PlayStation 5, not 4, Xbox Series XS, and a PC version will come shortly thereafter. And then when NASCAR holds their season-ending awards ceremonies, all the champions in NASCAR are going to be celebrated. Maybe not all of the champions are going to be in attendance. Keep this in mind. This award ceremony now is all-encompassing. Used to be just the Cup Series award ceremony, and then Xfinity, what is now Xfinity, trucks and all the others, they would hold their own, right?
Right.
Well, now they're all combined into one big ceremony in Charlotte, North Carolina. So you're going to have the titleists from Cup, Xfinity, Trucks, ARCA, Whelen Modified Tour, and there's more. But, of course, again, there's all the other series like the Whelen NASCAR Euro Series, NASCAR Canada, NASCAR Mexico, NASCAR Brazil. And it's because of that last one that we're looking at, because their crowned 2025 champion is none other than former Formula One driver Rubens Barrichello. He added that trophy to a very already extensive collection of trophies. An 11-time winner in Formula One, he was also the 2012 Indy 500 Rookie of the Year, where he led 2 laps and finished 11th. His 1 year of racing in the series claimed 2 top 6 finishes and was 12th in the final standings. Now 53 years old, Barrichello says he plans to travel to the U.S. to be in Charlotte, North Carolina, to be in attendance for this year's NASCAR award ceremony and grab the trophy for it. Told motorsport.com, quote, "I even checked my calendar, but incredibly, I have that weekend off for the banquet. I'll definitely be flattered because I got a lot of friends there. Roger Penske, people from my history because I raced in IndyCar, a lot of people there who work in both categories." Despite being 53 years old, hey, I don't blame him.
No, go for it.
You got the weekend open, come on up, grab the trophy, be there in person, and who knows what kind of connection you might actually get into.
Go for it.
You know? We haven't done a fantasy league update in a long time. We ought to do that, I guess.
Gotta
I'll be
look.
honest with you. I really don't even know where I sit.
I
I think I've been stumbling lately.
Well, considering I choked away a week because
Oops.
I kind of forgot to reset everything, and I had a bunch of road course people in,
Ugh.
and it didn't work.
Yeah, that hurts. You had road course people in for what, Daytona?
No, it was actually Richmond.
Richmond, okay. Ew, yeah.
All right, we've got leading currently Junebug first. Mr. Bloom Slick is second. You are sitting currently third.
Okay. But I'm pretty far off the pace, if I remember right.
You down by just a little bit. 356. Chase is in fourth. I'm sitting in fifth. Fire Shift sixth. John is in seventh. And Staceman is in eighth.
All right. Not a whole lot of news out of the Craftsman Truck Series this week, but there is this one bit of news in that former actor turned racer Frankie Muniz likely out for the remainder of the season. If not, it'll be certainly the vast majority of it. Seems Muniz was at his home in Arizona a couple of weeks ago, was doing some housework, climbed up off a ladder, and fell off of it. Suffered what the team said is a, quote, distal radius fracture of his wrist.
Yep, he ain't driving the rest of the year.
I'm no doctor on the radio and certainly don't play one on the radio, but that don't sound good.
I've fractured mine.
Okay.
It's not fun.
Statement noted there's no timeline for his return, and in the meantime, Mason Maggio is going to take over the truck for that happened the race right after. I guess they're kind of waiting to see on a race-by-race basis to see who's going to be filling in.
Yep.
Okay. They got a week off here this weekend, so.
They do.
A little bit of basic racing news here, and congratulations to a lady who I've come to know fairly well through Matt and Mai's collective membership in the National Motorsports Press Association. Her name is Deb Williams. Deb Williams is going into the NASCAR Hall of Fame. She has been named the 2026 Squire Hall Award winner for NASCAR Media Excellence. She becomes the 14th such honoree. Williams has been covering NASCAR for one media source or another since the late 1970s when she broke the glass ceiling as one of the first women to regularly cover NASCAR, first for UPI, United Press International. Remember them, kids? Ask your grandparents. She has also been part of the print media. She wrote for NASCAR Winston Cup scene, easy for me to say, NASCAR Winston Cup scene for 18 years. 10 of those, she was the editor. She also contributed to newspapers like USA Today and Racing Today. She was also a contributing member to ESPNW.com. Deb Williams, more than deserving to go in as the Squire Hall Award winner. Congratulations to her. Then there's this statement. Lucas Oil Company. They lost their founder on August 23rd. Saturday, August 23rd, the founder of the lubricants company, Forrest Lucas, passed away. Lucas, born in Ramsey, Indiana, February of 1942, grew up in that town, second of four kids, started to work straight out of high school. No college education needed here, boys and girls. He bought his first truck at the age of 19, adding to his first semi-trailer when he was 21. Started working with the Mayflower Transit Company, but was working to start his own company. So worked up a fleet of almost 15 trucks when he began his own freight brokerage firm. And in 1980, when the rules about shipping were relaxed a little bit, he was one of the first companies to start delivering to all 48 contiguous United States. But in 1988, seeking better ways to help engines perform, he formed up Lucas Oil Company, added another company to his portfolio in 2018 when he started Forest Films. Their last produced film to date was 2020's Wheels of Fortune. That was on Netflix. I don't know if it still is. It was this last of 8 films for that company. As for Lucas Oil, it continues to produce automotive-related oil and additives, plus distributes several types of lubricant for automotive use. The company was founded on the idea they could produce better working oils than what was available when it was founded, starting with heavy-duty oil stabilizer, upper cylinder fuel lubricant, power steering system stop leak, their own transmission fix as their main products, many others included over the course of time. Lucas Oil, of course, got big into motorsports as well, which is the reason we're talking about him here. The title sponsor of Lucas Oil Raceway in Indianapolis at Lucas Oil Raceway Park. They're also the title sponsor of the famed Chili Bowl Nationals, several series from motocross to boat racing, and they have sponsorships in the likes of the World Rally Championship, NHRA, IHRA, NASCAR, Indycar, and several other forms. I could go on for a long time, truth be told. Forrest Lucas was married twice. His first wife and he divorced in 1969. He said later in life because, quote, she couldn't stand to save money, she'd spend it as fast as I made it. He didn't remarry until 1982 to a lady by the name of Charlotte. The pair had 7 children together. Passed away Saturday the 23rd. Cause was not revealed when it was announced. Forrest Lucas was 83 years old. One might presume it was due to natural causes. If you think about what Lucas Oil has done in the racing world, I was just talking about on the sponsorship and title sponsorship side.
Yep.
All the additives and things like that certainly adds to it. He's going to be missed. The company will roll on, however. When we come back, we'll talk IROC and SRX. You remember the Superstar Racing experience?
Vividly.
Yeah. They're back in the news. We'll talk about it next.
Don't touch that dial. The Championship Racing Network will be right back. Four tires and 2 cans of fuel, and we're back to more racing action on the Championship Racing Network.
Got Matt live in studio for one more segment. He will then switch to joining us by phone as you head off to go coaching.
Time to go to battle.
Indeed. First game of the year officially, I think.
Yes, it is.
All right. And some people were asking kind of about the kids, what age range, stuff like that.
This year I've got the 9 to 11-year-olds, a junior bunch.
There you go.
So I don't have to run up and down the field this year.
There you go. It was announced on Thursday of this year that the SRX series might have some form of a second life. And I say some form because this is kind of an odd situation. We'll try and unpack this for you. Ray Evernham Enterprises owned the assets of the old series that he started with Tony Stewart that hit the track for the first time back in 2021. But 2 years later, after Evernham had all but washed his hands of the series, he turned it. It kind of turned into something that Evernham and Tony Stewart disagreed on. Smoke, after creating most of what would have been the 2024 schedule for the series, had one open slot left on the slate, and they already had a deal with ESPN. But then he decided about 4 or 5 months before the season would have began, if I remember right,
Something like that, yeah.
to not continue with it.
Yep.
And it's been idle ever since. Smoke washed his hands of NASCAR, turned his attention to his bride and to his NHRA team for the most part. Meantime, Evernham went out. He bought all the rights and the assets that he could find of the old IROC racing series. He's been working on a plan to get that back on track in a competitive form on a regular basis. But again, all the assets and the name SRX had been with Evernham Enterprises until this week. GMS Race Cars has acquired the cars. And that's it. We're going to show you a statement here in a moment.
Yeah, the cars and all the equipment, yeah.
In the statement that can be seen right now on CRN Live on YouTube, GMS Racing has bought all 16 cars that were fully assembled. They bought all the pit equipment. They bought all the spare parts, the pre and the post-race equipment as well. So they could actually take all these cars and all of their equipment and they could put a race on right now. Don't know what they call the series, though.
True.
Mike Beam, president of GMS Fabrication, didn't state what the immediate plans for the cars in the series were. Evernham seems quite pleased. He said this, quote, "It's extremely gratifying to see these cars live on in a new format. We built them to be durable, lively, and fun, whether in the hands of champions or first-timers." But the big thing about this sale is that while all of the equipment goes to GMS, GMS did not buy the rights to the SRX name, its trademarks, or its broadcasting rights. So as it stands, other than the cars being old SRX cars, there's no affiliation that we know of to either SRX, the Superstar Racing Experience, or anything that we saw, whether it was on CBS or ESPN. So this is an odd, somewhat head-scratching thing. It's nice to think that the series could live on in some way.
Well, yeah.
As the cars, it appears, will live on.
Yeah.
But why would you buy the cars without, and all of that equipment too, without turning around and trying to acquire the name? Unless you maybe are thinking about creating some other series under another name?
I think I know why.
Bring it on, because I'll be more than happy to have some light shed on.
GMS is now heavily involved in building late model chassis.
Okay.
Okay. These cars were built by Fury race cars.
Yes.
So they are buying. No, I don't want Siri to go off because I said Fury and it rhymes with that. They're buying that to get technology, I think, and transform those cars and add them into their arsenal of late model chassis.
Okay. Should be interesting to watch that process.
I think that's where this is going.
Okay. Time will tell. Switching over to the guys over in the Formula One ranks, where F1 officials are considering making some changes to the race weekend in order to attract new audiences. F1 CEO Stefano Domenicali admitted that he's going after a younger demographic. You know, those guys who have shorter attention spans. Okay. What could be forthcoming then? Well, he's saying possibly more sprint races. There are currently 6 of them on the slate for this year and next, since that schedule's already been finalized. He's talking about making the actual Grand Prix races shorter, or maybe adjusting the format of the races, doing something like, after qualifying, inverting a portion of, if not all of the field. Number one, the races in Formula One aren't terribly long. They're like an hour and a half.
Yep. Not long at all.
Number two, and I get it, we've seen inversion pills drawn before, but when you do this in Formula One after so long of not doing it, it seems like a gimmick.
Yeah.
I mean, if you did it from the beginning, great. And short tracks all over the country do it. I'm sure Talladega Short Track do it. I know we did it when we were at the old Birmingham International Raceway. Mm-hmm. Short tracks all over the country pull inversion pills after the qualifying run. I get it. And if you did that from the beginning, fantastic.
Yeah.
But if you're like Formula One and you've been around for 3/4 of a century and you've never done inversion pills before, why are you going to think about doing it now?
Valid question.
That's a pure 100% gimmick. And when you start down the road of gimmicks, you're going to have a hard time stopping.
Say that again for the ones in the back row.
Yes, for a particular series that has 6 letters to it. When you start down the road of doing gimmicks, you're going to have a hard time stopping.
That you are.
For those who might say that they shouldn't change it, I'm one of them. I mean, things pretty good right now. The underlying message from Domenicali is basically this. This is going to happen whether you want it to or not. And talking with the media after last weekend's Dutch Grand Prix, he said this, quote, "There's a topic on the table concerning the format that we're going to use in the coming years, starting with sprint weekends. We need to understand whether to increase them, how to increase them, and whether to use different formats. We've had several different discussions. We have several discussions to have with the teams to decide these directions. I have to say, aside from some older diehard fans, everyone wants sprint weekends. Okay, I don't have a problem with the sprint weekend. By all means, knock yourself out. Promoters push for this format, and now the drivers are interested as well. This is a chance for you to get some extra bonus points. It's a little bit of extra actual meaningful racing throughout the course of the weekend. I'm good with that. Fine, go ahead."
Yep.
Domenicali was asked how it was going over with the drivers. He responded, quote, "As for the drivers, initially 18 were against the sprint and 2 in favor of it. Today it's the opposite. We discussed it at the dinner. We organized in Austria. Everyone spoke in favor of it. Even Max Verstappen, who's generally against all changes, with whom I spoke to one-on-one and starting to say that it makes sense. So I see evolution from everyone. In the end, the drivers are born to race. No word on when any of or all of these ideas might be implemented. I don't think for next year because, again, we've got the schedule already put out. But maybe as soon as 2027? Again,
maybe.
You want to expand out the number of sprint races, fine. Go ahead and do it. Mm-hmm. That I don't have a problem with. That's actual racing. That is something tangible that we race fans can actually look at and root for.
Right.
In a much shorter format, which I think is also kind of cool. Mm-hmm. But I can't help but question the inversion idea. Because, again, you've gone 3/4 of a century without doing it. It doesn't make any sense to implement it now.
Yeah, because you're trying. I see where they're trying to think about it, but it makes no sense because faster cars are always up front. They're trying to take the inversion, put the faster cars in the back, and make it look like racing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which, and sometimes it's hard to just try to disguise it with that. If you see what I'm saying.
Yeah, I do. Cadillac F1, we talked about this on a recent episode of Crossed Flags. They got their 2 drivers for the 2026 debut season. Just in case you missed the news, they are race-winning drivers Valtteri Bottas and Sergio Perez. The 2 of them have a combined 16 wins in their F1 tenures so far. ESPN is reporting that Alpine, floundering at the bottom of the standings currently, did make a last-ditch effort and appeal to either of the drivers to come to them to replace Franco Colapinto, but both drivers turned them down. Perez, of course, dropped by Red Bull in favor of Liam Lawson after the 2024 season. In retrospect, it worked out pretty well, didn't it, Red Bull? He's been without a ride this year so far. Bottas, once a teammate to Lewis Hamilton at Mercedes, then flipped over to Sauber for the last 2 seasons, is currently a Mercedes reserve driver, so he's back with Mercedes. Here's the fun part about this. If you start looking at all of this, this pairing, 2 35-year-olds, makes them, when you combine them, the oldest driver combination going into next year. They're 70 years old, just slightly older than the driver combination of Aston Martin, who has a 44-year-old in Fernando Alonso, and Ferrari, who Lewis Hamilton is 39 now, if I remember right.
Yep.
So think about that. In addition, there's this little bit of news. The prior rumors about Colton Herta becoming the next American-born F1 driver have stepped just a little bit closer to reality. Last weekend, the season finale for Indycar in Nashville. Shortly after that, he announced he's leaving the Indycar ride and has joined Cadillac as their official test driver for the 2026 season. This does not necessarily mean he will be the reserve driver or even the main reserve driver. He'll probably get a reserve driver role. But whether he'll be the main one or not, I don't know. And it looks like they're trying to figure out what Formula 2 team they might be able to affiliate him with to ensure that he gets his F1 super license, which he is just shy of the needed points to acquire it.
Prima.
More than likely. So we'll see what happens with Colton Herta here. And it'll be interesting to see who they do end up pulling down and getting as their official reserve driver for next year, whether it's Colton Herta or whether it's somebody else. And there are ways, by the way, that he can also get some Formula One time, like, FP1 practice sessions. They could put him in a couple of those, and for a couple of them, I can't remember how many right offhand, but for a couple of those, he gets a couple of points towards his F1 super license as well, depending on how he performs.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens. Have they begun qualifying, by the way?
Let's see real quick.
As soon as our internet starts working again.
Yes,
it's been kind of shaky up here this weekend. It's kind of weird.
Yes, Q1 with 1 minute left, I think.
Okay.
It'll load up correctly. Usual. No, that's not loading right, because I know somebody's sitting with no time.
With 1 minute left? Yeah, that seems odd. Okay, well...
Here it goes.
All right.
Q1 is Russell, Verstappen, Norris, Tsunoda, Sainz, Alonso, Bordello, Berryman, Leclerc, Piastri, Antonelli, Hamilton, Hulkenberg, Ocon, Stroll, Albon, Hadjar, Gasly, Colapinto, Lawson.
Wow, Hadjar, after finishing on the podium, might actually miss out on Q2.
He just bumped into 15th.
Barely. Whew. That's a difference. Monza's a fast track, too, so it's going to be interesting to see the difference between last week, which was a tight, yes, highly banked track in Zandvoort, but Monza's a much more straight line, just floor it and go.
Plan it and go.
Yep. Speaking of silly season, other than Cadillac, Mercedes has been one of the teams that has people wondering if a change or changes going to be made to the driver lineup. Well, team boss Toto Wolff talked to media this week, said no plans to switch from either George Russell or rookie Kimi Antonelli. Neither driver signed contract extensions that have been submitted to them. Russell's admitted he's actually in no hurry to do so either. Russell and Wolff both said that despite the submissions to both drivers, that he is expecting either or both to work on some details that are either in the offer or work on some things that are actually not included in the current contract offer, and then they'll settle it up. Wolff is convinced both drivers are going to be back in Mercedes driving the Silver Arrows next year. Then there's Alpine. Alpine, despite having one of the worst years in their recent history, have decided they're going to stick with at least one of the current drivers that they're running with, and that is Pierre Gasly. Gasly signed a contract extension just yesterday that is going to keep him with the organization through 2028. The second seed at the team, I should say, is less than solid. Just mentioned the fact they were in on both Sergio Perez and Valtteri Bottas before they signed with Cadillac, so they seem unimpressed with Franco Colapinto and apparently any other options that are in-house.
Oops.
Good luck.
Yep.
Last Sunday, Oscar Piastri added his name to a pretty elite list. One that in all 75 years of Formula One, until last weekend, there had been only 26 drivers on that list. It's to claim a Formula One Grand Slam. And Formula One, the Grand Slam is you need to claim the pole, claim the win, lead all the laps, and the race's fastest lap.
That's 4 checks.
Not bad at all. This isn't the first time a McLaren driver has done it, but it hadn't been done in about 3 decades. 2 other drivers that did it in a McLaren, Ayrton Senna, back when he was driving for a McLaren, and Mika Hakkinen. There are 4 current F1 drivers who have accomplished the feat. Lewis Hamilton, who actually has done it 6 times. Max Verstappen's accomplished it 5. Fernando Alonso and Charles Leclerc 1 time each. As for the teams that have done it the most, well, yeah, shockingly not. Ferrari leads the way with 17. Red Bull with 9. Mercedes and Lotus 8 each, and McLaren has 6. So, yeah, congratulations to them. No doubt about it. And one more note here before I cut that man loose over there. The Monaco Grand Prix. Long considered the crown jewel of F1, whether you like it or not. It's going to be around for several more years. The Race Promotion Group and Liberty Media have come to terms on an extension of their deal to host the series through 2031 at least. And this puts them along with several different other races like Miami and Austria, which are set to run through 2041. Australia running through 2037, Bahrain through 2036, and through 2035 is Madrid, even though they haven't even raced yet. The race, however, has come under fire in recent years. Little has changed on the picturesque street course, but of course, the cars that F1 uses have gotten longer and wider, which kind of puts passing at a premium. F1 officials said they're trying to make things more competitive. This year, for example, and next year, again, they're going to use that 2-stop mandatory rule for each competitor.
Yeah.
Maybe now more important than ever because Cadillac comes in that puts 22 cars on the course.
Mm-hmm.
In addition, they're promising that the cars are going to get a little bit narrower and a little bit shorter.
We'll tell.
Time
will tell.
How much different that's going to make, I don't know. I mean, they're not radically. I mean, the cars that we saw, I'll go 30 years ago, were significantly shorter and narrower than the cars they're using now.
Yep. The ones back in the 90s.
Yeah.
Early 90s, early 2000s.
Is Monaco still that premier race?
Monaco's the race.
But I mean, in the grand scheme of things, just because it is the history of it, does that mean that it still holds that place?
I would say so.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Just kind of checking. Wanted to make sure. So we got to cut that guy loose. Now, again, he's going to join us by phone. So don't think he's going away. He'll be with us through the rest of the show. You just won't see him on camera. He's going to be with us by phone for the rest of the show. And when we come back, we're going to talk about one more note when it comes to McLaren. You might remember us talking about that special collection of McLaren road cars that got sold. We now know about the status of those cars. Details next.
tires only, and back out to the track for more action on the Championship Racing Network.
Hey, welcome back into the show. Thank you for joining us this morning. We appreciate you sticking with us as well. I'm Steve West in studio, producer John on CRN Live on YouTube, and now by phone, the man who was in studio just a moment ago, Matt Nicholson, on his way to go coaching. Got about, 15, 20 miles to go?
Approximately.
Yeah, give or take. So not that far away. Good stuff. A few weeks ago, you might remember here on the show, I told you about a very special collection of McLaren road cars that was going to go on sale in a special auction. This was a collection that belonged to the late Mansour Auger, consists of about 20 models, all of them painted in a tone of orange that McLaren used only for his cars. Now, McLaren cars are known, the race cars anyway, are known for a shade called papaya orange. Well, this Mansour orange is quite different, and if you happen to be on CRN Live on YouTube, you're going to get a great look at it. What made this collection so special is that each and every model was the very last edition of each model that McLaren had built for a road car. The other thing about the cars is that none of them were actually really driven. Each and every single one of those cars had less than 1,000 miles on the clock, many of them well under 500 miles on the odometer, save for the McLaren F1, which was Auger's favorite car, and he apparently used it quite often. Tom Hartley Jr. was the consignor of the collection and said he was not going to give details about who bought the collection or how much that collector paid, but all 20 of those race cars that you see right there on CRN Live on YouTube. By the way, you can look up Mansour Collection online. If you're listening on the radio side, you can check out those 20 cars as well. Every single one of them went to the same buyer. One person bought the entire collection. I really would like to know who won that. And will they adopt me?
Yeah, me too.
All right, let's turn our attention over to the IndyCar Series. Mentioned it in the race recap at the beginning of the show, and despite winning the engine manufacturer title and kind of running away with it, Honda's actually continuing to waffle a bit when it comes to continuing as the engine manufacturer in the IndyCar Series. Company's contract with IndyCar runs only through next year. Honda Racing Corporation President David Salters was asked about the status of the regulations and negotiations recently, and he chuckled a little bit and then kind of skirted the question. He said this, quote, "Seriously, we love IndyCar. We've been here for 30 years, I believe, doing pretty well. Very well this year, thanks to our men and women. We love IndyCar. We love the racing. We don't talk about our private businesses, however. We look at where we're going for the future, and that's Honda. That's who we deal with, and we don't really discuss private business in public." That's... If I'm somebody at the top of IndyCar, and I'll just put myself in the position of, say, Roger Penske, the captain, I'm not feeling all that comfortable about that statement.
Nope.
The other problem that I got with this is that these two have been splitting, for example, the number of entries pretty much right down the middle for the Indy 500, which is the race that has the most entries of any race in a year. 34, 35 as a general rule is what we've seen over the last couple of years. And both Honda and Chevrolet have said it's stretching our limits to fill our half of the 34 to 35. So if we have to make 17 or 18 engines, it's stretching our limits to be able to do that. If Honda pulls out, that puts all the onus on Chevrolet to do not just the 27 for each and every race other than the Indy 500. Now they have to come up with 34, 35 engines on their own, and they've already said they're stretched. How the heck is that going to work?
That's a good question, because that would make it tight, no doubt.
Well, and let's make it worse, shall we? IndyCar also is hoping to get a long-term commitment from Chevrolet because the 2028 season, where the new engine regulations and chassis are slated to be introduced, Chevrolet's big enough to handle running both NASCAR and IndyCar along with the NHRA, soon to be in Formula One, IMSA, and so on. Honda's much smaller. Their own talks with NASCAR are reportedly still ongoing. They may not be able to handle running in NASCAR and IndyCar and might seek dropping one in favor of the other. So they're not only looking for a long-term commitment from Honda, which is again, talking about moving their commitment to racing from one series to another, they're looking for a long-term commitment from Chevrolet as well. Could both of these engine manufacturers end up pulling out?
I doubt Chevrolet. I seriously doubt Chevrolet would pull.
So who steps in?
Well, all things considering, and they would be one of these two would be able to handle the load. I'm pretty sure pretty easy. It's either Toyota or Ford.
And Toyota keeps talking about doing something. Obviously, they're kind of edging their way back into Formula One, but they haven't fully committed to it.
Yeah.
And you and I have talked about this. There's not a vastly radical difference between the engines that they use in F1 and the ones that they use in IndyCar. Wouldn't be that hard to adapt them.
No.
We've said for a long time it makes sense that Ford would get into it if they were to be approached.
Yep.
All right.
It does make sense.
Time will tell. Penske Entertainment has starting to make a concerted effort to ensure that there is any thought, really, of any conflict of interest. They said that progress is continuing on creating an independent inspection and race control department. IndyCar president Doug Boles said back in May that it should be in place for the 2026 season, and toward that goal had 2 FIA delegates at the race, not in Nashville, but the race before that, to kind of go see how the inspection and race control worked. All of that's in response to several teams contacting the FIA requesting that Penske Entertainment split from rulings regarding the series that they not only own but participate in as Team Penske. Bowles told Racer.com this week, quote, "Well, first of all, it'll happen next year, and where we are right now, we're putting a structure together. We've done some of the vetting of the idea with a handful of team owners and some others, and now it's just a matter of building out a timeline and how it might work and getting it implemented. This board will not be sitting in race control or standing out around tech helping call penalties real time. You're going to have a race director. You're going to still have the tech team, all of those components as we now know them. I don't think you're going to see that drastically change, but it's going to be the way that it's led. It's the way that it is clearly independent from any influence from the IndyCar series, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, or its ownership. And considering the fact that Team Penske has had some trouble over the last couple of years, and I'm talking about big problems that have really shined a spotlight on this, Matt, this is probably now more important than ever that they make sure that there is some sort of separation between the Penske Entertainment, Team Penske, and somewhere else out there, the race control and the race officials.
It's a got to because they've got to because with everything tied all together and Roger having his own team still and owning the series, the Speedway, Penske Entertainment, and all that stuff, that is conflict of interest in capital letters with about 7 billion exclamation points behind it.
Yeah.
So they've got to.
Okay. So we'll see where it happens. Then there's silly season. And you want to talk about now with the 2025 season in the books, that happening? Yeah. And here's the thing. We figured that this first bit of news was going to happen, but it's still kind of shocking if you stop and think about it. Will Power not going to be with Team Penske in 2026. That ends a 17-year, very successful, I might add, run and partnership between driver and team. Again, you and I, we saw this coming weeks ago.
Yeah.
But at the same time, isn't it still a little bit surprising that he's not going to be in that car next year?
It's going to be weird not seeing him in the 12 car for sure.
Yeah. Power's now 44 years old, Australian native. He's got 42 of his career 45 wins that came with Team Penske. He's got an IndyCar record 71 pole positions. 65 of them came with Team Penske. 2 IndyCar titles, 2014 and 2022, both of them with Team Penske. And he's got, that's, by the way, 2022 is Team Penske's most recent IndyCar title. And to top off the Hall of Fame resume cake, 2018 he won the Indy 500. Roger Penske said of the decision to part ways with Power in a statement that producer John, I think, is about ready to put up on CRN Live on YouTube, quote, "As we sat down to talk about our future together, Will felt that it was time for him to make a change beginning with next season. He's been an outstanding driver and teammate for our organization. His results speak for themselves. We wish him the very best in the next phase of his career." So he's basically stating, the way that I read it, Matt, that this was Will Power's decision?
Yeah, it was. Everything I've read and seen too as well, it was his choice.
Okay. Do you get to a point where you just kind of look at yourself and think to yourself, yeah, it's time, I got to go? I need to change of scenery, whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, change of scenery definitely does. In the motorsports world, it can definitely do wonders.
Okay.
For sure.
Well, we'll see whether it does, because as we talked about on Cross Flags this week, he wasted very little time signing on with another organization. We talked about the fact that Colton Herta's leaving Andretti Global, and he's flipping over to TWG, the parent company of Andretti Global, and their affiliation with the Cadillac F1 operation. So that means they had a seat open, and Will Power has now taken it. Power's going to move over there. Herta, again, going to technically stay with the company. So here we go. Will Power at Andretti. Andretti needs a little bit of a shot in the arm. They're starting to look like they're coming back from the dregs that they were about, 3 years ago, where they couldn't get out of their own way. Yep. So it seems like they're performing much, much better. Will Power now comes from Team Penske, which is a winning organization and a team he won a race for this year, and can actually probably tell them, hey, listen, I think this is what you're missing.
Yeah, he will. I mean, as long as the 10 years he had and as many laps as he's got compared to Kyle Kirkwood and Marcus Ericsson, he'll be able to read that team real quick.
Yeah, I would expect that team will pick up their performance, no doubt. Then we got Dale Coyne Racing, got a change coming there. They've confirmed Rinus VeeKay has decided not to return. This is somewhat foretold before last Sunday's season finale. DCR announced a new sponsor for the 18 car. They showed off the look for the Alt blockchain that's going to be run next year, but the reveal did not include Rinus VeeKay. Now, shortly after that, it was reported that he had another ride, but it just has not officially been announced yet. So Dale Coyne Racing has a sponsor for next year for a car that has no driver. Huh?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Okay, good luck. We'll get back to it. Racer.com is reporting sources have told them that VeeKay is set to go back and rejoin AJ Foyt Racing. Foyt will team him with Santino Ferrucci. They needed a driver who, because David Malukas is expected to be announced very soon as the replacement for the aforementioned Will Power at Team Penske, that Foyt and Penske are affiliated together. So they needed a driver, so they're going to put Ferrucci and VeeKay together? Good move on their part?
It definitely could be a lot worse.
Okay. Then we get back
definitely could be a lot worse.
Then we get back to Dale Coyne Racing. So, again, sponsorship is set. Alt blockchain. Coyne has said that he was planning for the possibility of VeeKay leaving, and it said this, quote, "We've been looking, and I will say this year that the list is much shorter, but the quality is much higher." Okay. Tell me why this report comes out then. Racer.com says that former Dale Coyne Racing driver Romain Grosjean, who was out of the series this year, is in the mix to come back, as is the 2024 Rookie of the Year Linus Lundqvist, who also didn't race this year in 2025. And I don't mean any disrespect to Romain Grosjean, but you consider the mileage that he's got on him, his age, and then you've got Linus Lundqvist sitting out there. If I'm Dale Coyne, with all due respect to Romain Grosjean and the veteran presence that he can bring, I'm probably going to go with the rookie.
I'm going to go with neither one of them.
Okay, who would you go with?
Considering that sponsor has had a previous tie to him before, I'm pulling Connor Daly.
Interesting. Yeah. Probably you could do a lot worse than Connor Daly, that's for sure. Okay.
I'm pulling Connor Daly, but if I can't pull Connor Daly, I'm going to pull Grosjean.
Okay. Oh, you would pull Grosjean over Lundqvist?
Yes. If I couldn't pull Connor Daly, I would pull Grosjean.
So you'd rather have the veteran presence?
Yep.
Okay. All right. You and I looking at it from two different angles. Well, there you go. Coyne also looking ahead for 2026 to the second car, that 51, fielded in conjunction with both Rick Ware Racing and TWG Motorsport, the parents of Andretti Global. 2025 Rookie of the Year candidate Jacob Abel not expected to be back. He might be going with another rookie According to everything, we're hearing the top candidate is 2025 Indy Next champ Dennis Hauger. He won the title going away for the Andretti Feeder Series team. This would give them an opportunity to kind of put him in that car, and I'm talking about Andretti, put him in that car for a year or two, let him get some seasoning, and then maybe pull him over to the big team, maybe when Will Power decides he's finally done.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
Find out. Time will tell. Now we get fully into the rumor mill. This one surrounding Alex Palou, now a 4-time IndyCar champion. He's been dismissing links to Red Bull Racing. And now he's not the only one. His boss is too, dismissing rumors that link him to taking the Red Bull seat alongside Max Verstappen for 2026. Palou told media this week he's had zero contact with Red Bull, much less talked about taking over the seat that began this year with Liam Lawson in it and now has Yuki Tsunoda sitting in it. Much less, by the way, it didn't improve the fortunes of that car. It's actually hurt Red Bull's chances of continuing their championship run. Palou, meanwhile, won 8 of this season's races and wondered aloud to the press if the speculation might be somebody's attempt to throw shade on his title, marking 4 and 5 years. Talked to the Associated Press this week, said this, quote, "There's been nothing at all. We've heard nothing from anyone. The only thing I've heard was that it was a manager for some other driver in IndyCar who would like to have my seat, who said to maybe start something." With his titles, though, think about this. He does have his F1 super license. He's got the points to get one anyway. I don't know if he's applied for it. But he thinks that there's some other IndyCar team that's trying to shadow his accomplishments. I don't know if I buy that 100%. Wonder if I lost. Matt, you there? You might be in a dead zone. Okay. We'll keep rolling on. Let's go back to Zandvoort for a moment. The home of the Dutch Grand Prix that we were just talking about a little bit earlier, Zandvoort, not likely to extend their deal with Formula One. It ended after the 2026 season as the track's contract with F1. So they've got one more year on it. Several sources have said that should they not renew their deal with F1, the track would be more than happy to bring in some other series, like NASCAR or IndyCar, to race there. For IndyCar, yeah, they could bring along Indy Next, but both of those series are based here in North America, have very little European pull, save for some drivers that were born in Europe. You might think NASCAR has the same problem, but they do have NASCAR Europe, so they could kind of pair up there. Thinking of Zandvoort, yeah, it's another road course, but with some bankings up to 18 degrees, it kind of would actually be more like some ovals that NASCAR fans and the drivers are used to. If you were going to pull, Matt, if you're able to respond to me, if you were going to pull either NASCAR or IndyCar to go to Zandvoort, which one would you choose?
Oh, boy. I would pull IndyCar.
I think I agree with you on that. I think IndyCar would be better suited to it. I mean, yeah, it'd be kind of fun to see NASCAR over there to a certain extent, but the logistics of it. I mean, heck, we had a problem dealing with Mexico City and all the logistics of trying to get from, what was it, Michigan to Mexico City to Pocono this year. Can you imagine trying to go? You'd have to have 2 East Coast races, but you got to get all of these cars across the Atlantic and then get them back across the Atlantic to continue to race. You need at least one weekend off there, either before it or after it. I don't know which. Maybe both.
You would have to go 2 weekends off, one before and one after, for logistical reasons.
Yeah, and IndyCar is better suited to that.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah,
much better.
That's why we're both of the same opinion. The attraction to Zandvoort appears to be this: cost. Costs a pretty penny to host F1, while both IndyCar and NASCAR also charge hosting fees. They're much less than Formula One, so it makes it a lot more feasible, fiscally responsible, and a bigger option for the track and its promoters. They've only got one requirement. They want to put on a good show, and that becomes the big situation. So I don't know. Both NASCAR and IndyCar have talked about expanding beyond North America for a few years now. I don't know whether this is the main option. But again, if you're looking to expand out worldwide, going to Europe, that would accomplish it. Again, I worry about the logistics of it. All right, let's, when we come back, we'll talk about the 2026 IndyCar schedule. We mentioned it on Crossed Flags, but more details are coming up. We'll get into that when we come back.
We will be right back with more on the Championship Racing Network. Fuel only. Go, go, go. We're back to the Championship Racing Network.
Welcome back into the show. Final 10 minutes or so. Let's see what all we can get done now. If you tuned into Cross Flags podcast this week, available now on CRN Live on YouTube, IndyCar does continue to work on the 2026 schedule. Talked about the Barber Motorsports Park situation. It appears Barber and Talladega not going to be back-to-back next year. We haven't got the completed schedule, so that still may change, but it right now does not appear so. Another thing that we know about the date after the Indy 500, dates after the Indy 500 details are few, but one we know the very next weekend will be the Detroit Grand Prix. And then the weekend of August 14th through the 16th, they're going to Canada. But it's not going to be Toronto. Instead, they're heading to the city of Markham, Ontario, Canada, which is about 40 to 50 miles away from downtown Toronto. Downtown to downtown, they're about 40 to 50 miles apart. Why? Blame the 2025 World Cup. FIFA and North America came to terms on hosting the World Soccer Tournament. That means that games are going to be played in Mexico, in the United States, and in Canada, in Toronto, right where IndyCar would have been holding their race. So they had to move it. And apparently it's going to be there for a while, too. The deal signed by IndyCar and the race promoting group Green Savary. It's a multi-year deal to hold the race in Markham on a city street course. Markham proper is actually a sizable enough city, about 370,000 residents itself. The metro population, over 1.25 million people. So approximately, for reference purposes for us, Matt, you and I, it's about the size of the city of Birmingham when you look at the metro population. Its downtown almost doubles the city of Birmingham. So this is more than capable of holding this race.
Right. Absolutely is.
Race going to be in downtown. Will include the background. That will include several Canadian corporate headquarters buildings, York University's Markham campus, and the Markham Pan Am Center that was built for the 2015 Pan American Games. Course itself going to feature a dozen turns, measure out to about 2.19 miles long. So it's going to be every single bit of what the Toronto race was when it comes to length and everything else. So really, you're not going to miss much. It's just not going to be in Toronto.
Right. Yeah. I actually like this layout a little bit better.
Yeah. Yeah. And looking at it, I kind of liked it too. I'm sorry I couldn't find the layout in time to be able to do that. But yeah, it's, I actually do like it. First year of the partnership between Fox and IndyCar. We've talked about this partnership, and this is fantastic. Don't misunderstand me. This is fantastic for IndyCar. Kind of shoves NASCAR back in the corner, but let's look at the positive side first. Fox reports that their rankings for the IndyCar series over last year, when the series was split between NBC, USA, and Peacock, are up and fairly big. According to Nielsen Media Research, the longtime leaders in TV rankings, Fox's coverage of IndyCar up 27% over last year, makes it the most watched IndyCar season in 17 years. Last Sunday's season finale, despite the fact that we already knew who the 2025 champion was, pulled in 1.142 million viewers, marks a major increase over the same race in 2024, 136%. But then again, I think they were going head-to-head with a Cup Series race that weekend. Makes it the most watched Nashville race since 2021. For the season, Fox reports IndyCar races averaged 1.362 million people tuning in, most since 2008. Marks the biggest average growth for any motorsports series that averages at least 1 million viewers per race on average. 2025 Indy 500 is, of course, the most watched race of any IndyCar season. No rain delay and over 7 million people tuned in. It was the most watched Indy 500 since 2007. Now, we'll see if year 2 of IndyCar on Fox holds serve, or maybe, I don't know, improves. Fox certainly does know how to promote things very well. And Fox says they're committed to putting the series on the main network, not shunting it as they're doing with NASCAR over to cable. They also added, and this might be the most important part, Matt, that they're going to work harder next year to make sure that all of their races, whether it shows up on the Fox network or not, all of their races for IndyCar are not, to the best of their ability, directly competing with NASCAR races on the same day.
Well, they better get to work because they got a lot of work to do to accomplish that.
Yeah, they do. And that may be part of the reason why we have yet to see the finalized 2026 schedule.
Very, very, very.
Speaking of video games, IndyCar is preparing a new video game based upon the series for 2026. They're working with iRacing, like NASCAR, on the pending release. As part of the deal between the series and iRacing Motorsport Simulations, the game will be made available for PlayStation 5, Xbox, and it'll be on PC's stream for the second half of next year, marking the first IndyCar dedicated video game in more than 2 decades. iRacing is already set to put out, as I mentioned, the deal with NASCAR 25. We just talked about it a little bit earlier. They're also set to come out with a World of Outlaws dirt racing video game, so they've got their hands full. IndyCar game going to allow a full career mode that will also include licensed drivers from both IndyCar and its primary feeder series, Indy Next. Then again, there's a career mode where you can make yourself. More details will be forthcoming as the video game nears production or finalized production and ultimately release. Then we get to the NHRA, and we're going to show you a picture that, if you're a little squeamish sometimes, might make you a little uncomfortable. I'll tell you now. So those of you viewing on CRN Live on YouTube, get prepared, because we're about to show you a picture of Sean Reed and his hand where his finger was amputated. You've been warned. Sean Reed says that he's right on schedule to return when the countdown to the championship 6-race slate gets underway in Reading, Pennsylvania next weekend. Reed has been out of a car for the past month and a half after the crash at the Northwest Nationals. Not only did he suffer that situation where his left index finger had to be amputated, he suffered a number of broken ribs. This weekend, he's in Ohio running a non-NHRA points race. He's actually running in the IHRA event in Ohio to ensure all is good with both his ribs and his hand. You looked this up a little bit earlier, Matt, if you're still with me, and you were looking at Sean Reed's situation, his statistics here. He's actually looking pretty good so far.
Yeah, he's sitting P3 and going into first round of eliminations from IHRA this weekend at National Turtle.
All right. Well, we'll see whether or not he's able to continue that on. The man who started KB Racing Pro Stock Car Team, Ken Black, passed away a couple of weeks ago. Black, a Las Vegas businessman who supported the team, launched the career of Greg Anderson. With his backing, KB Titan Racing has become a dominant force in the Pro Stock Car division. Currently features Anderson and teammate Jason Line. He's unfortunately passed on. Ken Black was a giant among men, the team said in a statement. Throughout his life and in ways that stretched beyond the drag strip, he was an admired leader, astute businessman, and gentleman who saw the potential in others, encouraging them to rise to any challenge and reach for the biggest dreams. It is with great sadness we say goodbye to our dear friend, our coach, and the man who built KB Racing. His legacy will live on through our program, and more importantly, through each of the lives he touched. Who we are is because of him. Black was interested in drag racing from a very young age, got involved in high school, entered a Chevy 2 Nova SS in a race at Stardust International Dragway in his hometown of Vegas. Yeah, that's no longer around, by the way. Won his very first time around. While he loved racing, he was never far from it. He started a highly successful construction business before joining with George Barnell to begin KB Racing in the 1990s. They claimed their very first wins, including the U.S. Nationals in 2001 with Greg Anderson, and his cars have claimed 10 Pro Stock Car titles, won 205 national events along the way. Anderson said of Black, quote, "Ken was like a second father to me. He'd step back from ownership, pairing with Titan Racing engines who have taken over the day-to-day operations of the team." Passed away on August the 26th, cause not revealed. Ken Black was 79. And we're going to get to everything this week because we wrap up with Formula E. Sebastian Buemi has signed a multi-year contract extension with Envision. It's going to keep him racing for the team for the foreseeable future. Buemi, tied atop the drivers for the most wins in the relatively short history of Formula E, has been with the team for 2 years now. In that time, he's claimed 1 win, 2 pole positions, and 6 podium results, with which, by the way, came in his first season with the team, season 9 of Formula E. Well, he got his 1 win with the team this past season. He did admit that it was a challenging year. He's now 36 years old, 14 career Formula E wins, 35 podium finishes, 16 pole positions. Matt, I'll ask you this question, considering his resume and what he's been able to accomplish over the course of time. Is this a situation where Envision needs to up their game, or is Sebastian Buemi starting to figure out that maybe it's time for him to start stepping away?
I'm going to say it's going to be earlier. He needs to step his game up. They need to step their game up.
Okay, so the team needs to work to get better because Buemi's got the talent.
Yeah, he's got the talent. They just need to step the program up.
Okay, gotcha. Well, he's going to have to break in a rookie. He's going to have a new teammate when the season gets rolling in December. Buemi's going to be joined by a Swedish native by the name of Joel Eriksson. Eriksson signed a multi-year deal with Envision, so he's going to be there for a while. And Eriksson, he's not what you would consider a typical rookie, though. He's 27 years old. He was part of the 2018 Formula E rookie test. He raced in 8 of that season's races with the Dragon Penske Autosport organization and got a one-off ride last year in Berlin, filling in because of a scheduling conflict. But now he's going to be the full-time partner to Sebastian Buemi. So Buemi not only has to overcome the fact that his team needs to step up their game, now he's got a rookie as a partner.
Yeah.
How big of a hurdle is that?
It might not be as bad as you think.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, hopefully he's right. All right. Well, from producer John and myself, Matt, and from all the listeners, be they on our flagship radio station or on CRN Live on YouTube, hope everything goes well in the season debut, and hopefully they go out there on the football field and kick butt.
And we're going to do what we got to do.
There you go. All right. Like you said ahead of time, it seems like the whole team has bought into a familiar phrase to us here. Do your job. Go out there and get it done, brother. All right. We'll get the update from you next week. Have a good one. We'll talk to you Tuesday during Cross Flags, which is, of course, the next time we're going to talk to you as well. We're hoping to have that done on Tuesday if they get my wiring situation fixed at the house for my internet. Hope you all have a fantastic week. And again, Cross Flags coming up middle of the week, and we'll be back here for the big show next weekend. Hope you join us then. Until then, have a great week, be safe, and enjoy the racing.
This has been a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.